in a situation where I haven't been able to prosper in the world or in the church because I've always paid tithes right off the bat. I don't think about it. I don't guess about it. And I don't want to cheat God because I want God to do things for me and for mine and for the church. So in order to be successful, I need to help God do what he wants to do in the world. And that's what the tithing is for. It's for all the ministers, bishops at their disposal. All ministers should be receiving of the tithes as it's written in the Constitution. But from my experience, and I've been in my profession 33 years, in business myself for 11 years, and there's been good days, good years, not so good. It's like feast and famine, but I've never, as David said, seen the righteous forsaken nor his seed begging bread. And so I thank the Lord for taking care of me.
Amen. Thank you, Evangelist, and for giving us the scriptures as well to reinforce. We should all know that tithing is not some foreign concept, but it is biblical. Required of us by God. And I'll just share, a little moment of transparency as well. As a younger man, had jobs and stuff growing up, and there'll be times where I didn't always pay my tithes, and even I've heard people say, sometimes I just don't have it. But to growing into maturity, I've learned that there's no such thing as not having it, because your tithes, it doesn't belong to you. It already belongs to God. So you're doing a disservice by keeping it or by not paying it. And like I said, from my own personal experience, I've seen on many occasions where God has allowed me to stretch further with less because I paid my tithes, and God made a way for where I thought I might be short, or where I wish I did have a couple more dollars, but God made a way for supplement to make up for whatever, I put out. God brought it back to me tenfold. And then on other occasions where I didn't pay my tithes and I held on to some money thinking that was going to do me some good, that's when things would happen, and the money goes quick. And that's when you run into situations and you get into trouble. So don't look at it from the carnal mind and from the physical mind of about the money, but you gotta look at it as a spiritual thing. And you're giving God what belongs to him, and what he can give and return back to you is far greater, above and beyond any money that you're going to sow into the church or any percentage that you can give to him. God can pour all of that and more back into you. So I just encourage everybody today and reiterate that our very first financial obligation, and the very first thing to have financial success, is to pay your true and honest tithes to God. I'll get off my soapbox there, and now that we've hit on the spiritual part, let's hit on some other practical things. And I want to go to St. Leah and just ask what kind of financial advice would you give to young people looking to save some money or to develop some better spending habits? I know you have experience in banking. What would you have to add to that, or what advice would you give to the young people?
First of all, I want to piggyback. When it comes to studying, when it comes to learning, when it comes to reading material, I mean, of course, there is an incentive for that. There is a goal for that. Whether it's to get a degree, your first, second, third degree, whether it's to do well on the ACT or SAT or the MCAT or the LSAT, right? We have that big goal in mind that's sort of like driving us to use specific strategies. But when it comes to the penny, we don't necessarily have that incentive, right? But let me put it this way. If we really needed to pass this test, and in order for everyone to have selected, for the most part, choice C, what would we have needed to have done in order to get this correct? Let's say the penny was invaluable and we had a lot of motivation for using it. Like, what would we needed to have done in order to get this answer correct?
I had $50. I was only going to put like 10 or 20 in. And the spirit came to me and said, you put that $50 in, you're going to get that apartment that you applied for. And I was like, and I didn't even think about it. I put the 50 in. When I got back home that Monday, I got a call that I got that apartment. So I honestly believe that these are things that I've been taught, but I've also experienced. So that's the first thing. Second thing, as you're transitioning out of college and getting your first career, your first job, my first bit of advice to everyone that every young person, like us older saints, including myself, because I'm in my 40s, we should have already be taking advantage of these situations. But when you get your first job, sign up for every bit of 401k, 403b. If they offer you stocks, get it. I don't care how much. Usually, like when I worked at the University of Pittsburgh, I was offered a 403b. I no longer work at the University of Pittsburgh, but I still have that 403b, and it's growing with interest for when I retire. I worked with PNC Bank in corporate America, so I had a 401k. I no longer work at PNC Bank, but I still have that 401k, and the interest is growing. Also at PNC, I had the option to buy stock at a very, very discounted rate because I worked there. So I purchased that little bit of PNC stock. Once again, I no longer work at PNC, but I'm still getting dividends off that PNC stock. So always take advantage of those things because you're going to eventually retire. Our hope is that we eventually retire. And we know that as the economy is looking now, we see our president, we see Social Security. Everybody can't depend on Social Security. And me, even at my age, I'm 44. I'm not waiting to depend on Social Security. So we need to, as young people, get those things set up now. Also, when I work for the school district, there's the PSERS, what is pension. They also take money out. Sign up for that too. That little bit of money, you feel like you're going to miss it, but they take it out on the front end before taxes are even taken out. And after a while, you don't even miss it. But on the back end, when it's all said and done and you're ready to retire and you're ready to settle down, that's there for you to take advantage of. So you don't have to penny pinch. You don't have to live off everything. I mean, you don't have to live off of just Social Security by itself. Always take advantage. And after you pay your tithes, save up. Always save. You should always have a savings. I honestly, at first, I wasn't really good at saving until I bought a house. And when you buy a house, it's not the same as when you rent and you could call a landlord and something breaks and say, hey, I need you to come fix something. Now you have to fix things yourself. So savings are good to have when stuff like that happens. There are some tricks that I learned from.
All right. Okay, enough of the penny activity. Now, moving right along. Okay, so real quickly, I'm going to share a case with you. So this is a student that sat through one of my classes at University of Miami. She was in her junior year at the university. And I'd just like you to read her self-reflection because I believe that learning begins with critical self-reflection. That was mentioned by Deacon Lee in the discussion yesterday. Critical self-reflection is crucial. And please, I'm going to give you a couple minutes. There's 2 slides here to read what she has to say about her transformational learning journey and using these strategies. I'm going to go to the next screen now. Now, to me, this is freedom. And what I'm about is not just research-based strategies, teaching that for students to optimize their learning, but the bigger goal for me is learner empowerment. When learners are able, when you're able as a learner to use proven, solid, research-based strategies to optimize your learning, to make it more efficient, to make it more impactful, as this learner has done, you gain a sense of empowerment, which says that even if I'm sitting in a lecture or in a class that's as boring as can be, because there are some instructors who know their content very well, they're experts in their content, but the delivery, they're missing students in terms of the delivery and connecting with them. And we've all experienced that. But even in your most boring class, you can make it fun. You can make it exciting. Learning is fun. Brother, I'm drawing a blank on your name. Say Rebecca and Brother Peter's son. What's your name again?
My name is Ruben.
Ruben, yeah, Brother Ruben. Brother Ruben's name is Learning is Fun. I love it. And even in your most boring class, you can still make it fun based on specific strategies that you can use. So if we look at this learner here, right? This is a person who had really no sense of direction, right? Who had some self-doubts, who was anxious and worried about my scores and GPA. Too many of our students are doing just that, thinking about scores and grades and GPA, because that's what society has really taught us to do. I'm not saying grades aren't important, but we have to put the focus in the right place. So Deacon Stevens yesterday talked about the process. Many students are leaning on the outcome, whether it's getting into med school or I have this big goal of dream of, wanting to be a teacher or a lawyer or a nurse, and that's great. You do have those big outcome goals. But what I see lacking in our education system is too many students are not focused on the process. Okay, you want to get an A in all your classes. Great. How do you do that? How much effort should you put in? Okay, great. Okay, 4 hours a day. Okay, good. What's the quality of the time that you're putting in? This learner was saying that basically she was putting in the time, and most of the students they put in the time. They're studying for 4, 5, 6, 10 hours a day. But in so many cases, Saints, they're not seeing the results they want in terms of that big outcome, whether it's that degree or graduating high school or graduating with 4.0, because we've been missing the process, right? So as you can see here, these strategies aren't just helpful for passing a test or making good grades, but also just in real everyday life. So the implications are many. Okay, well, what are these strategies? Okay, great. There's one called retrieval practice. What does retrieval practice mean? Retrieval practice basically means self-testing. Just like when we see that person, right? We're out and we see that person, we're trying to remember who the person is. And what do? We ask a question. We're using actually retrieval practice. So all of us at some point or another have used retrieval practice to help build our memory. Retrieval practice can be used successfully, right? To strengthen or consolidate what's in your working memory. So if you really want to remember something for a long, long time, you need to be using retrieval practice. And it's simply this: you are testing yourself in order to learn any content or material. Okay, great. Let me make it a little more concrete. You're warming up for a class session. Before you go to class, or before students go to a class, there is work to be done before the class. If you're given a course syllabus, you need to read that syllabus, period. Most students don't, but hey, that's why I'm doing this session, because it's not about teaching the traditional way of learning or teaching. You need to read the syllabus, okay? Something that's very important to look for in the syllabus. So here we have a course description from epidemiology, right? So, epidemiology involves large scale, big data, studies. So when it comes to coronavirus and studying how disease works at a population level, how we're affected in society, how it spreads and all of that, that's epidemiology. And they deal with all kind of, research and big statistics and data and so on. So this is just an example from that domain of study. And as you can see here, we have the course description, we have the course objectives. So here what? I'm getting really concrete right now. Before you go to class, you need to read the learning objectives. Why? You need to know before you get there what the expectation is. You need to be aware of what you're getting into, right? October 30th, this is lesson 7, learning objectives. Understand these terms. Understand why validity is significant in epidemiological context. Don't be thrown out by the content. I'm illustrating a strategy and the process here, all right? So before class, you would take a look at these objectives, and guess what? You would use retrieval practice by doing what? Asking yourself questions like, do I know what validity is? Do I know what reliability is? The purpose is not to try to teach yourself all the material before you go to the class. It's just the warm-up phase. I'm sure we got a bunch of people here who work out religiously, right? And what do they say you should do before a workout? Somebody tell me real quick. Unmute and tell me. Before you get into your routine, what do you need to do?
Warm up, stretch.
Warm up, stretch. Thank you, Brother Sean. What's the point of that? Why not just get into the routine?
So you prevent injury.
Prevent injury. Great. Well, before you go to a class session, before you go to a small group learning session, whatever the main learning format is, we need to warm up. If we don't warm up, we're going to get injured when we're in the session. For those of you who are getting ready to go to college especially, you're going to be in those lecture halls, whether virtually or in person, and you're going to be seeing probably 30, 40, 50, 70 slides. That information is going to be coming at you at 100 miles an hour. And if you hadn't done a warm-up or a prep work before the session, you're going to feel lost. I know because I've been there myself, and I've seen too many students who have fallen into that situation. So what do? Let me tell you. Most instructors, they're probably going to write their learning objectives as statements. This is where active learning comes in. Take that statement and flip it into a question, right? Okay, so if you want to know what reliability is, what is reliability? Actually write it out. And I'm going to give you a table, a chart, where you can write all this stuff out and you can take it into your class session with you as a note-taking tool, right? Whether or not a given study demonstrate, okay, so this last bullet point here, you could turn it into a question by saying, how do I know that a given study demonstrates high validity and reliability? Guess what? You try to answer those questions. I know it's going to feel hard. It's going to feel like it doesn't even make any sense. But even if you're not able to answer the question because you haven't sat through the session yet, at least look up a term. You might just want to look up this term, validity, reliability. Okay, what's that? Okay, epidemiology, like what's that, right? And so guess what? Now when you're in the session, the cognitive load will have been reduced. You're not trying to look stuff up while the instructor is going on with the lesson. You're not trying to make sense of the relationship between reliability versus validity because you've already done that. And I want to say that this warm-up component of learning, you have to consider it as a part of studying, not something that's just an add-on. Like, oh, when I open up my book and read my notes, that's studying, but this, how am I gonna find time to do that? Well, that's like asking, how are you gonna find time to study? All right, very important, right? Let me give you another example. So, has anybody ever heard about KWL? The KWL method. If you've ever heard of KWL, give me a thumbs up or put something in the chat, right? 1, 2, 3, right? Yeah. Many of the teachers, yeah, in the room have heard of it. Some of you might not have. Well, guess what? There are so many students that I've met with. I don't know if I'm just dating myself here or what, but there's so many students I've met with that have never heard of KWL, right? And I mean, this is not a new method. It's been around for decades, right? This is a tool that you can utilize to help you use retrieval practice. And not only that, to help you to use it to prepare for class. Staying out till all hours of the night, late hours of the night, and just jumping into class half asleep is not going to cut it. And I'm being very direct here, right? College is a new ball game, right? For those of you transitioning into college, or for those of you who are going to from college to, graduate in a graduate program, you've probably gotten the memo by now. Now, I'm not saying don't have fun. Yeah, form relationships, get involved in extracurricular. Don't be like me. I didn't really have much of a life besides studying when I was in school. I'm not encouraging that. Be balanced, right? Be very balanced, but you have to know that first things first. Must prepare for your sessions. Good. So here's what you could do. As I mentioned before, your instructor might give you a, as you notice, I'm pulling from various disciplines here. The first one is about epidemiology. This is about the kind of stuff that I do, the science of learning how to learn, and the terms associated with it. So, so the instructor might say something as, okay, during the session, you are going to be able to differentiate between a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. What you could do is you could take that statement and then you could turn it into an actual question. I mean, with a question mark. Be very intentional about it. What are the 4 differences between a growth mindset and a fixed mindset? The learning objective, again, might say, you will be able to differentiate between deliberate practice and naive practice. Okay, you're preparing for class right now. Take that objective and turn it into a question. What is the difference between deliberate practice and naive practice? Let's say you've never heard these terms before. Great, yeah, celebrate. Don't beat yourself up over the head. That's why you're learning it, right? The instructor might have given you some pre-work or prep materials, maybe some explainer videos to watch, or maybe you can YouTube it, right? You can Google it, look it up on YouTube. Okay, deliberate practice, naive practice. Like what's that about, right? And what are you trying to do here? You're trying to figure out what it is that you do know, what you want to know, so that you can more readily explain or identify what you have learned in a very specific way. So that's what the KWL is about. Make note of this. In order to learn anything new, the new knowledge or the to-be learned knowledge must be attached to some prior knowledge, something that you knew before. So for example, growth mindset. If you see that term and you go, oh, I've never heard this before, I'm just going to show up for class and hear what, I almost said hear what the Spirit has to say to the church, but hear what the instructor has to say to the students, right? I mean, this stuff is just in you. You just can't, it just comes to your mind, right? No. Don't just show up. Look it up. If the instructor hasn't given you materials to figure out at least what the definition of growth mindset is, look it up. Okay, what is growth mindset? What are the components of that? You might even go to the extent of, how do I build growth mindset? Aha, now when you get into the session, you can go in, or let's say even before you go into the session, it behooves you to figure out what it is that you still want to know, right? So as you're looking at this, there are some things that you may already be familiar with that I'm sure you're familiar with. Again, you might not be able to give me the definition of the term, but you see something like deliberate, you understand what deliberate means, right? So you're probably thinking purposeful, intentional, right? Not accidental, not incidental, right? Growth mindset. And you're probably thinking something having to do with the mind and changing your mindset, right? You see something like retrieval
practices or purchases you have to question. Really think about it. Do I need this? Is it important? Do I need it now? Can I save up a little bit at a time to get it all at once? Think about those kind of things when you start really making purchases. Think about, you're on your own now. Your parents can't really bail you out, even though my mom bails me out a lot. I mean, transparency. But start thinking on those levels of, do I really need it? And how will this affect my credit? Or how will this affect me in the long run if I do want to purchase a house, or if I do want to purchase a car, or if I do want to start my own business? Those are things that you need to think about as well.
Thank you, St. Leah. Just a bit of housekeeping, Saints. Please keep yourselves on mute. If you're not participating in the discussion, please keep your mics on mute. Deacon Bush, anything to add as far as building credit or budgeting? Anything to add?
Yes. Just be careful, because credit is important, but there's a lot of predatory lenders out there that will they can take whatever your credit score is and whatever your income is, and they can make you afford a house, and you'll be in that house, and then 3 or 4 years later, you'll be up against it, and your house will be upside down, and you won't be able to afford it. I just wanted to add that to it. But the budget, a monthly budget, is going to be your best friend. Always budget your money. And I had prepared something for this session that I will send to the moderator, and then if you wanted, whatever method that they have in sending it out. But It reads as thus: budgeting allows an individual or a business to create a spending plan for their income and revenue, and it assures that the individual or the business will maintain enough cash flow to meet the important obligations to their home or their business. Individuals or businesses that allow a well-structured budget spending plan also will keep themselves from unnecessary debt and help them work their way through or out of extensive debt. And then I have prepared also for you recommended budget resources. One is Using the Bible. Two is Crown Financial Ministries, and I have placed their website address on there. Also, Budgeting for Dummies, you can get that at the library or at the bookstore. Also, Susie Orman, and I have her website. And then after all of this Black Lives Matters and all of this, and listening to the panels over the weekend, I went out and found you a nice African-American. Her name is Tiffany Alish, and I have her on here as well. This is how I break it down. Tithes and offerings and your giving probably is about 13% of your gross. Savings and emergency fund, everyone should have at least 6 months of savings. So of their total monthly budget. So you save until you reach that mark. So for instance, if it takes $3,000 to manage your total household, you take 3,000 and multiply that by 6. Technically, you should have roughly $18,000 in savings. Because if something like this happens, like this coronavirus, and you're unable to work, thank God I'm still able to work from home. And many of us are able to work from home. Now, your kind president did give you $600 every week added on to your regular unemployment, which is good. But still, if that didn't happen, what did you actually have in your savings to move forward and to grow and to manage your household? 6 months, at least, of savings. Your mortgage payment, what you normally do, and this is what the banks do, they take probably no more than 33%. Take 33% of your gross, and that's really how much house or apartment you can afford. Even though they were talking about, and Evangelist Stevens is actually right, don't be house broke. I got the same lecture and didn't follow the instructions. You know, full disclosure. So let's see. Utilities is around 8%, and I'm including utilities as your gas, water, and electric. Cable, cell phone, internet, that's different. That comes under other. Just like you shouldn't be house broke, you shouldn't be car broke. Because remember, when you go out and buy these expensive cars, these sports cars, that comes with another insurance, a high insurance bill, and maintenance. So just be careful. So I have food, at least 3% of your overall gross income. Cell phones, cable, 5.5%, and other is 3%. Now, you look at it like this. Uncle Sam, here in America, the federal government and your state government, they don't trust that you're going to pay. So they take it out of your check before you even get it. So then you have to make sure, and I have that most have anywhere from 20 to 25% of their gross income. So once you take all of that, it equals 100%. And that's how you will budget and manage your finances. Try, whatever you do, try not to, and I'm speaking from personal experience, once you have that money saved, try not to dip into it. Thinking, oh, this is not going to happen. Oh, that's not going to happen. Keep that savings, and you should do fine. I will, like I said, I will forward this on to the moderator, and if you want it, you could he can send it to you through the email. And I had outlined some scriptures for you. One of the important scriptures that we realize, Philippians in the 6th chapter and the 19th verse tells us, but my God shall supply all of my needs according to his riches and glory in Christ Jesus. So if you know that God is the center of your life, as I've been hearing this week, all of this weekend, then you have to trust and pray that he will give you the desires of your heart. I heard it earlier in the on one of the panels, but seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. But you remember what the scripture goes on to say, for your heavenly Father knows all things that you are in need of before you even ask. It also teaches us in that same lesson, but sufficient unto the day, meaning what you have today and what you need to survive for the day, sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof. And while we try to, gather things in life, just remember the Bible says, charge them that are rich in this world that they be not high-minded. And remember to trust, I'm speaking from personal experience, and trust in no uncertain riches, but in the living God who giveth to all men richly all things to enjoy. So if you seek God first, and always ask for permission for what you want to do in life. You want to buy something, ask God for permission. Because you have to be careful, because the banks, the predatory lenders, and these payday loans, they're waiting on you, and they will certainly prey on you if you're not careful. Get yourself your household a budget and stick to your budget.
Wow, a lot there. Thank you so much. And yes, those resources, again, as long as with your registration for the convention, you'll get the recordings of all of these sessions to always be able to go back and reference. We'll send out additional materials like the supplemental materials that Deacon Bush just highlighted. He'll get those to me and we'll send them out to everybody. So you have a sheet, a working budget to work off of. I also saw a lot of recommended books and materials going off in the chat. I'm taking some notes, and we'll get this out to everybody so that it's something that you can reference and build on in the future. Saw in the chat that, right, we should be looking to build wealth, for generations, looking to help out on down the line, not just to make sure that you're good, but looking to make sure that future generations will be good and will be able to sustain as well. A lot of great advice and great stuff happening here. We got a little over 8 minutes left. We've heard some great financial tips about, budgeting, saving, credit. One thing that I do want to touch on before this is all over is business ownership. So we're going to go to Evangelist Stevens just to talk a little bit about the process of starting a business, maybe like startup costs or just what that takes. I know it takes a certain mindset as well. So if there are any aspiring business owners or startup people who are starting up a business or in the process of it, please listen attentively to Evangelist Stevens, who's going to talk to us about business ownership and opening a business.
All your saints. When I looked at the topic, opening a business, where to start is what first came to my mind, and I really didn't focus on the things you can find on the internet in terms of how to set a business up, whether it's an LLC or sole proprietor or S corporation. These things are you can Google and find how to set it up. I kind of focused on the individual. And I think you really have to do self-inventory Prophet Crowley was right. We should own our own business, and go into business for ourselves. Well, to me, a successful business is based on ownership, and so the person has to do self-inventory themselves. So I broke it up into 3 ideas: determination, focus, and resolve. First, there must be a determination to venture out without a parachute. First, business owners have to get out of the mindset that I'm going to go out, but I need this first, I need that first, I got to have this in the bank, you got to have, some people are, I need everything before I can make that first step to do a lot of things. And so in my estimation, when I started the business, I was working at an architectural firm. I was a principal. And so I was laid off after being there for 13 years. I was involved with business development. And the next day, I met with 4 or 5 individuals, because in my mind, going back into, and this was during a recession in 2010, going back into that same economy to get hired by another company, knowing that they're laying off top level executives, was not an option. Because when you started a new company, regardless of your position, you still start at the bottom. They're looking to cut salary. So my idea was the determination that I need to start a business, and we started talking and planning that next day, 4 or 5 constituents of mine. So your determination has to come from within yourself, that owning a business, you want to own a business, because it's going to take a lot of work. The second was the focus. In my mind, there must be a focus that God will provide, regardless of how the business turns out or yields. It will be enough to sustain you and yours and everyone else. You have to believe that God is going to sustain you regardless of how it turns out, which really you need the mindset of the 3 Hebrew boys. They felt regardless of what was happening, they were not going to bow down to the idol, whether or not God was going to save them or not. You have to have that kind of focus. That is the type of focus you need in terms of starting a business. And the last item, resolve. Resolve that, the church is somehow going to prosper from your business as well as you. And that's a personal belief of mine, that our church should be prospering from business owners. And the reason I say that is because I looked out at the Catholic churches and Presbyterians and the Baptists and all these churches. When people have businesses, they give to their churches. Now, I'm not talking about 10%. They give based on, what they do in bonuses, what they make. That type of money. Catholics, when they die, they leave their properties to the church. This is how the church, has money right now. We look at our church, and I say this: the more educated we have become, the poorer we seem to be. And in my mind, the church needs to prosper from our businesses as well as own their own, but they should prosper. So, I started out with 3 of us, 3 partners. 1 lady left, but we continued on with 2. And we made certain that places that we rented our lease. We went into an area where the lease amount was inexpensive. We purchased used furniture so that we can, have furniture and cubicles in the business. We made certain that, again, we didn't look at where most architects would be at. We looked at our money, and we looked at what we can do. And one of the things you have to have in any business is that you have to have a clientele. I had a lot of clients when I was with the company, and then I'll move off of this. I did not have a non-compete contract, which most partners have a non-compete. What that is that when you leave a firm, you have a non-compete, you sign an agreement. It gives you so many years that you cannot talk to the people that you were doing business with that firm. You cannot talk to them as you're starting a new firm. So they looked beyond me and didn't think, they probably thought that, hey, there would be no way our clients would go with you when you left. And so I think they made a mistake in that area, but it was a blessing for us. And so you need a clientele that you're going to focus with, and then you have to just trust in God. To me, if you don't trust in God and the way the Church of God and Saints of Christ, I always say this, it's a way of life. And so you have to believe that God is going to make certain that you're successful. Success, in my mind, is not making $1 million, $2, $3 million. It's not being greedy. It's not based on money. It's based on God making certain that he provides and sustains. So far, for 10 years, we've made over a gross amount in our business. We made over $5 million in a 10-year time. Now that's gross. That doesn't take out rent. That doesn't take out consultants we use. You know, all of these are things you pay. But I have yet to be without funds to sustain myself in that 10-year period. And so I thank the Lord for that.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Evangelist. A lot there. Like I said, well, this meeting room is going to close in about 25 seconds, and we're going to be brought back in with everyone else. This meeting will be over. So thank everybody for their input.
So you're spread, rather than cramming in 12 hours in one day, you have 4 3-hour sessions, and that's the essence of spaced repetition. Smart goal setting, that's important. We're going to get these slides out to you. I see that my time is almost up, unfortunately. We're going to get these slides out to you. You can use this as a tool to set goals that are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-based. It's important to have these specific goals in order to be successful at anything that you're learning or attempt to learn. So I see that the room will be closing shortly. However, feel free to reach out to me for any further questions that you might have. And my apologies for not having gotten your questions in. I wasn't able to look at the chat intently.
This was fantastic.
But feel free to reach out and we can continue the conversation.
This was
Welcome back to our main convention room, Saints. What y'all think about those breakouts? Yeah, we got hand claps coming around the virtual screens. Yeah, fist pumps. All right, I'll take those too.
I was expecting to hear more from the young people that you had on the platform that you was promoting their businesses. I thought like Love Lemonade and the Mask and the other young people that had just started businesses, I thought they were going to talk about how they got started. I wasn't, that's what I thought you.
Well, we're definitely going to go into our next commercial, and we'll be able to feature some of those same participants. So we're going to give another 5 seconds for the rest of the participants to come back, and then we're going to launch right into our next commercial featuring Saint Soim and Soul Glow.
Soul Glow Cosmetics, we love makeup. We offer unique customized packages designed to fit your needs that include lipstick, foundation, blush, and more. The best part is they're all vegan, natural-based, cruelty-free products.
And now to select our next winner of some Soul Glow Cosmetics. I can't even say the word because I don't use that stuff. You know what? We got to do this part. If she wins, we'll just pick another person. And the winner is St. Javon Leon. Are you on the line? Use your chat feature. You have 10 seconds to claim your prize. Let no one else. You got 7 seconds. St. Javon, I need you to say here. That's going to be 4 seconds now. Please don't use the comments just yet. Let Brother Javon or Saint Javon, is it a brother? Oh, if it's a brother, well, maybe you could gift it to a person. You got 3, 2, 1. Yeah, moving right along. And our winner is St. Tanya Butler. Are you here, St. Tanya? If you're not, we're going to move right along. You got 7 seconds to write here in your chat feature, H-E-R-E, or Kiwi, as Brother David Lattimore said, H-E-W-E. That could be a thing. I don't know. Here, we've got a winner, ladies and gentlemen, from Soul Glow Cosmetics, St. Tanya Butler. We are writing down your name so we will connect you with these folks. So did everyone enjoy your breakout session? Thank you for working with us to get everybody in there. You can go ahead and feel free to change your name back and reclaim your identity. You don't have to be a business or a learning person. We are going to move to our next session. One of the sessions I'm really excited about. It's a very forward-thinking and very positive young man that I consider a good friend of mine. Someone I go to when I have issues, or not even issues, just things that I need to talk through, some ideas I need to bounce off. He's a man that provides a safe space for idea sharing as well as cultivating those items. I believe in giving people their props when they're necessary and when they're due. And this young man works very, very hard to make sure that not only all the young people, but all our seasoned saints feel just as important. He's one of the best hosts in Zoom land history. He hosts the Stratford Tabernacles services every week, giving you all the fire and energy, and then comes back with that DMV marching swag to the side. We're talking about Elder Joshua Boone and the Organizational Development Committee. Hear ye him.
Thank you, Brother Sean Shelton, for that lovely, incredible introduction. All hail to the saints, to the bishop and the saints. Truly, I count it indeed a pleasure to be able to present to you on today. I'm a little nervous, can't lie. I'm used to just preaching. That's what I do. But I'm just thanking the Lord that to be able to get this opportunity to be able to communicate with the saints about what is going on with the Organizational Development Committee. I'll tell you the truth, I'm excited. This weekend has been nothing but confirmation for the last 5 months. Not too many people have known, but for the last 5 months, myself along with the committee, we've been working behind the scenes to bring forth positive change when it comes to the organization. And first and foremost, I would like to thank our Chief Executive Officer, Bishop James R. Grant, Bishop Robert Dennis Grant, and our Chairman of the Board. I'd like to thank them for giving me, along with my committee, the opportunity to help bring forth change. We're living in times where shift is happening all around us. I make sure to say shift is happening all around us. In society, there's just an excitement of change, but it's just not happening when it comes to society. I see it happening in the Church of God and the saints of Christ. And, it was at one point where it seemed as if change or a shift was far away. But from this weekend, to let you know, saints, the shift is happening right now. We are living in some exciting times. There is a shift that is happening right now. And as I was listening to the panel on yesterday, I was so inspired because what me, myself, and the committee, we've been working on, everyone was speaking it into existence. And we've been working on it in the background. And I can't go into too much details about it yet because we haven't taken the necessary protocols with presenting formally to our leader and the board of Presbytery, but we will give you an overview of what we are trying to accomplish. But on yesterday, I heard that we are looking for transparency. And I saw it on yesterday. I'm not sure if y'all was realizing what was going on. I've seen transparency on yesterday, where we were asking for opportunity to utilize our skills. We've seen it all weekend. The opportunity, the young folks never got an opportunity. They've been utilizing their gifts all weekend. We've asked for mentorships. And to tell you the truth, that's been happening behind the scene. But what we want to do, we don't want to be a behind the scene organization. We want to bring things out into the forefront. So as I said, I'm excited to introduce the committee. Now, do we have the slides, Brother Sean, or should I share from this end? So the committee is the Organizational Development Committee. Our mission is to set forth a vision of unity, clarity, and direction for stabilizing a clear path to a brighter future for the Church of God and the saints of Christ. What are you saying, Elder? The Bible lets us know in Habakkuk 2:2, write the vision and make it plain. Proverbs 29:18, where there is no vision, the people perish. For quite some time, we've been hearing about Prophet's plan. And I guarantee there's 198 of us. Prophet's plan, we've been hearing this all our life. But if I ask Saint so-and-so compared to Saint so-and-so, everyone's going to have a different answer of what is the plan. So one of the things the committee is trying to accomplish, we just want to make it plain for the saints. We want to be able, for the saints to just to be able to state exactly what is the plan. So that's the first slide. We can move on to the second slide, where I want to introduce the committee's members. Of course, I am the chairman. I was blessed with this opportunity once again by the at-large and the chief executive officer. I'm the chairman of this committee. The liaison to the Presbytery board is Elder David Anderson. He will go between the committee and the Presbytery board just to relate to them what is going on. Our executive assistant is the Assistant Deacon Stevens, Sydney Turner. Our legal advisor is Elder Gerald Barber. Our analyst is Elder Dexter Miller. Our researcher and analyst is Saint Zadria Barnes, formerly known as Kamai. Our technical director is Brother Sean Shelton. And our public relation, in charge of public relation, is Saint Natasha Allen. So let me just give a little background when it comes to the committee members. When I got the opportunity to, from the bishop and at large, I prayed. First and foremost, I didn't want to use the same individuals who've been used year in and year. I wanted some new faces. I wanted some new ideas. I wanted those saints who just to have an opportunity. So I prayed because, you know, when you're a head or when you're leading a charge that I'm leading, you really don't want to make any mistakes. So I just prayed, and the Lord, he just starts sending the saints my way. They were called out of the blue, and I was like, well, you know, it's obviously the Lord is just pointing me in your direction. So it took quite some time for me forming this committee, but I want the saints to know these are just how can I put this? There are going to be other opportunities for other saints to join this committee, because in all actuality, we want every tabernacle to be represented. We want every saint to feel as if they are heard. We do not want to exclude anyone from what we're doing, but our committee is all about inclusion. We want every tabernacle, I gotta say it again, every tabernacle to be represented. That is so important. You know what? Every voice in the Church of God and the Saints of Christ, you can hashtag this, every voice matters. And we want you to understand your voice matters. And we're going to give you an opportunity to share your ideas. Because at the end of the day, this committee, we're just developing and we're just committed to moving the church forward. But we can't, what we've learned, we cannot do everything. And that's not our job to do everything. So as the people of God said on yesterday, they need, we need, for example, I heard that we need social media committees. These committees will be formed. But what we got to stop doing, if you don't mind me saying, we got to stop just putting ideas out there and not seeing it through. And I'm going to say that again. We have to stop putting ideas out there and not seeing it through. An idea is okay. That's okay. But God is looking for saints who are committed. God is looking for saints who are faithful. And it's great to be faithful during Sabbath and the beginning of the Sabbath. But let me tell you about this committee. This committee worked day in and day out. Day in and day out. And they know I've already set a standard, and I hope they don't mind me saying this. I already told them this. If you're not committed, if something comes up in your life and you cannot be committed to the committee, please let me know. And it's okay for you to step down or step aside. It's okay, but the work must be done. This committee will not be a dormant committee. This committee will move forward. So I let the committee know. I said, if you can't do the job, it's okay. I still love you. No love lost. But that's the kind of mindset that we have to have. If you can't do the job, it's okay. You're just going to have to do something else. But you can't stay a part of the organizational development committee. So moving right along to the next slide, and I promise I won't take an hour. It won't be an hour. But how we got started, and this is just quite simple, because like I said, everyone in the Church of God and the Saints of Christ has a voice. You know, I don't want us to think that we're voiceless. Everyone has a voice. Let no one silence your voice. So on last assembly, I put in a communication. And in that communication, I won't go into details exactly what that communication, what it entailed, but in that communication, it spoke on vision. It spoke about missions. It spoke about goals. It spoke about action plan. It talked about accountability. So, you know, of course, you know, being young, I thought it was just going to stay there. But what I've learned from this experience, I won't call it a roller coaster ride, but what I've learned from this experience, be ready. It's easy for us to point out the problems. It's easy for us to point out the issues, but if you do not have any solutions, to me, you're just a sounding brass and a tinkling cymbal. So you got to be ready. You got to be ready. So I received a call from the at-large. And at-large, he basically said, well, son, I read your communication. And so what I want you to do, I want you to set up a committee. I want you to help bring the church into the 21st century. I was not expecting that. God is my witness. I was just trying to open up the door for communication. But it reminded me again, like I said, if you're going to address issues, if you got problems, be ready to have a solution. We are in the season now where you have to have solutions. The Bible is full of folks who had solutions. David had solutions. Moses had solutions. Joshua had solutions. Saints, we have to have solutions. So that's how the committee got started. And we're gonna, on this next slide, as we move right along here, and I hope I'm not going too fast. If I'm moving too fast, just tell me, elder, slow down. But that's usually how I preach. I preach kind of fast, so I do apologize. All right, our goals and objectives list. And I'm I'm just going to read the first one, then I'll let St. Natasha Allen, she's going to jump right in. Building on the mission and vision of the church. And before St. Natasha Allen, she comes on, is there anybody here who actually know the vision and the mission of the church? Just wave your hand or something. If you do, you do. But what I've noticed throughout the years, some of us don't know exactly what the mission and the vision of the church. So St. Tasha Allen, please.
All hail saints. I just want to first say I am so thankful to be a part of this committee and to be a part of this church. Yesterday, from this entire Sabbath, the beginning till now, has just made me so invigorated and just so happy that I'm a part of the Church of God and Saints of Christ and to be a part of this committee. And as talking about the mission and the vision, I'm quite sure that there are so many, some that know the mission and the vision and some that don't. And the thing about it is we don't need to reinvent the wheel because Christ already commissioned us as disciples of Christ, the mission. And Prophet Crowdy, Christ had given Prophet Crowdy the vision for us. So basically, it's not us reinventing the wheel, but we want to build on the mission and the vision to basically bring the church into the 21st century. And I'm telling you, saints, yesterday, even today and the day, we're already doing it. So it's just like, everything is cohesive. We're just running ahead. And I have to thank God for the panels today. Say Dr. Kimmy, the business panel, everything that we've been going through, because right now I have so much anxiety and my hands are so clammy. To speak in front of you, just to present this and be a part of trying to transition this church, that's a big deal. That's a big deal for me. So, like, again, I said, we are in transition mode and we're working on using different mediums to fulfill our mission as disciples of Christ. And we're doing that. And there were so many suggestions made about how to do that. Again, I said, we already have set the vision. The vision has already have been set forth by Prophet Crowdy, and we're working on bringing that vision into the 21st century. So we know how Prophet Crowdy did it in his time, right? But now we are in a different day and age. We're in an information age. And we want to be able to use what we have now to bring our church to its rightful place. And we want to have this not only for us, but for our children and our children's children. That was the call God had given the children of Israel, to teach it to your children and your children's children. Because when we're gone, saints, we want to make sure that this church stands. And regardless to what, it's going to stand anyway, because God has his church. But we want to make sure that we bring this to fruition right now in our day and age. And there was one thing that was mentioned. I wrote a lot of my things down because for me, there'd be so many things in my head. I'm trying to make sure I compartmentalize and get it out. But there was the Racial Justice Town Hall, and they talked about education and the disparities in education. And I am a teacher. I'm in the field of education, and I was texting St. Nicole Ricketts because we're in that field and we know how hard it is. And a part of the vision is establishing your own, being able to present the education to our own children, having our own schools. And that's something that we want to work on, and that's something we want to do. This church must have that. I'm a teacher, and I have the New York City DOE that we have to close our doors and then teach what we really know the students need. And then when the principal and the AP come in, that's when we just show what they have us to do for the curriculum. I don't want to teach like that. I want to be able to teach my children about their ancestors, about the church, about our legacies. So that is what we are actually working on. And thanks, I say this, our church is in transition mode and we're moving forward.
Amen. Thank you, St. Josh. I'm not sure if you're done or not. I cannot see you, but I won't. You are? Okay. And our second is to unify and to formalize the relationships between the national and the local churches. These are some of the things that we're working on right now as we speak. And like I said, we can't go into too much detail, But I'm gonna ask Elder Gerald Barber, can you just give just a little short explanation?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Again, my task has been to try to formalize the relationship between the national and the local churches. And without going into a lot of detail, what we're beginning with is that the national church serves as the headquarters or the central organization of our church affiliations. All our churches, our local church, affiliate, associate, and fellowship and cooperate with one another through national conventions and committees and local activities. We all share, both national and local, a mutual belief and desire, an intent, and a commitment to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ throughout the world so that all people may know Christ and have a saving relationship with God. But what we're trying to do and what we're tasked to do now is to recognize that our local churches are separately organized, independent local churches throughout the United States, Canada, and Bermuda. And this task that we're trying to put together is to formalize and document the terms and conditions of that relationship. There are benefits, there are obligations, and there are duties on both the national and the local level. We want to just bring that to bear, that individual churches and the national church will enter into agreement with an understanding of how we cooperate one with another. So it's a mutual commitment to affiliate with one another and a mutual commitment to recognize the relationship between the national and the local churches. Thank you.
Thank you, Elder Barber. I do appreciate all the members. Elder Barber, he's just been such an inspiration to me these last couple of days. I thank God for him. But moving right along, and St. Tosh as well, the whole committee. But moving right along, assess where we are as an organization through a membership survey. So I'm gonna ask Brother Sean to explain where we're going when it comes to that.
Oh, hello, everyone. The Organizational Development Committee is obligated to keep a finger on the pulse of the church. It is necessary for us to understand where you, the membership, feel we are as an organization. From that, we will derive our tactics, our strategies, and to encompass the things that you suggest to us. So forums like this can continue to happen. Different panels, different types of conventions, different types of committees, all those types of things, we will need to get those types of information from you in order to direct us in how we should move forward. So we want to open lines of communication. We have various ways which will be mentioned later on how you can get a hold of us, but as well as through this membership survey, we're going to be looking to that to gauge where we as members feel we are, where we as members feel the organization is, and where we as members feel the organization should go. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Sean. And I want to reinforce, we want to hear from the people. This is not the time to be dumb with silence. We want to hear from the people. This is the opportunity to whatever you have on your mind. Like I said, we can't go with every idea. We can't go with, that's just the reality of the situation, but there's going to be somebody's idea that we're going to take. So we want to hear from the people. Moving right along, develop a strategic plan of action for the church. Elder Dexter Miller.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All hail Bishop, all hail saints. I thank God for this day. This weekend's just been outstanding and magnificent. I don't think I can recount or express my excitement with regards to what I see that's about to happen. There's been a Herculean commitment by the members of this committee to help to launch the church into greater heights. We've pledged our lives to the Church of God, and we've been working incessantly to see these things come to fruition. It's good to have dreams, saints, but it's even better when you can live them. My job really is to just collect data and gather information, disseminate it, and transfer it into more useful information. This membership survey by Brother Sean provides great detail and content for that usage. Basically, I'm going to be turning data by numbers into recommendations and potential action plans. First thing, step one, we have to assess where we are now, spiritually and organizationally. We're taking a current snapshot at the health of the organization and developing an internal situation analysis as well as strategic assessment. We're going to, we have to really understand that we have to be brutally honest, saints. Perception is different from reality. Who we perceive ourselves to be may not be who we really are.
Special Sunday service.
In achieving any goal, we have to first understand who we are. And when we understand who we are, then we can ask ourselves, well, where could we be? This is where we have to look at what our strengths and what our weaknesses are. If there are any deficiencies, we evaluate our resources and how we're utilizing our talents and our attributes. It's not only important for us to have a talent pool, but it's equally important for us to utilize the talent that we have. Once we do that, we can look into future scenarios. And we have to ask ourselves, okay, where do we go from here? We have to set goals. What heights do we want the church to reach? We have goals, but then there's a difficulty of actually executing these goals. So we have to ask ourselves, well, how do we get there? Part one is the strategies and implementations. And then part two is looking at the implementations of the strategies and tactics. From there, we now we look at assessing or evaluating our current plan of action with the usage of metrics. Every plan we put in place, it must be quantitative so we can actually measure its success and effectiveness. We are not just limiting this to the national church, but we want to also include the local churches. We want to work with the local churches as well. Strengthening the local churches, I really believe that it'll result in a formidable national body. At the end of the day, we have to know that this committee is a microcosm of the church. We're a reflection of you. I don't think I'm going out on a limb by saying that we all want to see the church move forward, or we all want what's best for the church, or we all want to help thrust the church into greater heights, or we all want to launch the church into the 21st century. The committee stands in the locus of all the saints by saying we all want what's best for the church. Let's work together, and with your help, we'll no longer dream about it, but we'll live about it. Thank you.
So the next bullet is we plan on working on our social media presence. Won't go into too much details about that, but the young folks, you will have the opportunity. There's a lot of saints whose social media presence, it's incredible. I've seen their followers, and at the end of the day, we want, as the people of God, as the church, we want exposure, but we want young folks who are dedicated and are dependable, who are faithful, and who can do the job. But that will come in a later communication. I can't go into too much detail, but trust me, youth, it's on the way. That's why I said I'm excited. Matter of fact, it might even already be done. I can't go into too much detail, but it's on the way, saints. The last thing, we want to engage the youth to play a greater role in advancing the church. I've heard it, mentorships, that every head of an auxiliary every head of a committee needs to have someone on a yearly basis who is shadowing them. That's how we teach our youth. That's how we train. And of course, it wouldn't be for longer than a year, because we don't want anybody to think, well, that position is going to go to you after so-and-so. No, but everybody needs the opportunity to shadow those who are the heads of auxiliary. There's nothing wrong with that. So mentorships, it is on the way, saints. I'm saying, just be a little patient with us, but I'm letting you know we are actively working. I'm talking about every day for the progress of the church. Now, we come to the opportunity. We're almost done, and I hope you have suggestions, some ideas. But this is the opportunity. If you skip to the next slide.
Wait, Elder Boone, wait, can I mention something? Because I just want to mention, if you could, you don't necessarily have to go back, but we were talking about engaging the youth to play a greater role in advancing the church. And actually today, that was actualized. We've had all these different panels, and that is the youth playing a role in advancing the church. We talked yesterday, we had a meeting last night, and we talked about just getting, I don't want to say getting beyond singing and preaching. That's not how I want to say it, but adding to, because sometimes, like, I am not the best singer. And before I became a singer, I always wanted to know, where was my place in the church? I really didn't know my place in the church. And so, I became a singer in the choir, which is amazing for me, but there are so many other things. Dr. Kimmy just had like a medical board, a medical panel. We can continue that. There's an educational panel that we can have. There's so many other different movements that we can have in the church. And so we need all of the youth, but not just the youth. It's not just about the youth. It's because I'm not a youth, I'm in my 40s, but I still want to have a presence in the church. I still want to know that I can be effective in moving the church, not just me singing, but listen, I'm a teacher. I'm a teacher of early childhood education. I could be a part of an educational board where I can help parents, along with other teachers. St. Nicole Ricketts is a teacher. St. Callan is a teacher. Melissa Spencer, she's actually what we call here in the States AP. I think they call that a vice principal in Canada, and we call it an AP here. We could come together and help our children. Dr. Kimmy with the rest of her people, the rest of her things, we can come together and create different boards so that we can feel we're a part of moving this church forward. And I just wanted to add that to the mix.
Thank you, St. Tasha. Thank you. So we're close to near the end, but can we skip to the next? If we have any, and this is the time, we want you to be, if you have any ideas, any suggestions, please, right now, you can share your ideas. We'll be open. We might not speak into too much detail about, but we want to hear from you at this time. But if you are, a little nervous to share your ideas right now, you see that there's an email. Please shoot us an email. We're checking it on a day-to-day basis. Shoot us the email. Saints, I want to say again, the time is now. We can't keep on putting things off. The time is right. We're living. Everyone is living in the right now. If you want the change start right now. You want the church to change, you are the church. So you have to change, and change starts right now. So right now, I see someone said websites. Let me tell you this, it's on the way. Saints, it is on the way. Someone asked me, they sent me a text message. Now they asked about the mission and the vision. I don't want to go into too much detail about that as of right now. But Lord's willing, if you meet us in Cleveland, Ohio, a few weeks from now, if God says the same for the National Assembly, that's when we will be sharing the mission and the vision, and Lord's willing, we'll go from there. But let me tell you this, we're going to make it plain in Cleveland, Ohio. And if, you know, if God says, you know, if something might happen, there's a plan B. But before the summer is out, Lord knows you will know the vision and the mission of the church. And I just want to say this again, for every pastor or every member, your tabernacle, every tabernacle has to have goals. We have to know what we are working towards. We just can't just church it out and just church it out and church, and we have nothing that we're working towards. So if your tabernacle have 20 members, you get what I'm saying? If your tabernacle had 20 members, we should be looking to have 25 members by next year in that tabernacle. But what we're doing with this committee, we're going to hold tabernacles accountable, because we're going to help you develop action plans. Matter of fact, we're so dedicated to this thing, we're going to be traveling to tabernacles to speak to you face to face, to have personal conversations with you. So if your tabernacle has about 25 members, 10 members, and the saints or the pastor, he said, well, I want 15. Lord knows you say 15, we're going to be on you to see what you're doing for a week-to-week basis to get that 15 by next year. We want to hold ourselves accountable to Africa, to Jamaica, to England. We want to include you as well. Please, please take the, when we put the, excuse me, I'm spitting and everything, but when it gets good to me, sometimes you got to spit. We want to include everybody in the survey. You know what I mean? Like I said, we want to hear from you. Africa, we want to hear from you. Jamaica, we want to hear from you. Zimbabwe, we want to hear from you. Saints, we are a moving church, and I got to say it again. I thank God for the leader. I thank God for at large, because now we are moving forward, and they are committed to a positive, listen to this, to a positive change. And I see our bishop here on today, and I'm going to say this in front of all 200 of you. If I'm not living up to what I'm saying today, if you don't see me here and you see somebody else here next year, it is what it is. There's no love lost. But that's how I'm going. I want everybody to know, if I can't do the job, I'm willing to step aside. It is what it is, but we got to get the job done. Let's move this church forward. Hashtag, let's move the church forward. Hashtag, turning point. God bless you, saints. If there be no ideas, please shoot us an email. I love you, and the church is moving. Back to you, Brother Sean. I guess that's what I'm supposed to say.
Church of God and Saints of Christ, let's give Elder Boone and the Organizational Development Committee a hand clap. We're moving. We're doing stuff. This is what it's about. These are exciting times, folks. And we have another raffle. Amen. So now we're going to draw our names. Drum roll, please. St. Vera Cherie Williams, are you on the line? Use your chat feature and tell me here or he-we. She's here, ladies and gentlemen. St. Vera Cherie Williams will be winning $25 worth of product from Tumani's Touch. Again, we thank you, all of our vendors, for being participants in this hashtag BYC 2020 experience. Here, I'm going to be very, very nice to everyone. We're going to take an 8-minute break. Do not turn your Zooms off. Turn your cameras off. Mute them. We're going to take a quick water break, and then we're going to come back for the 2020 commencement. So led by St. Allison Gordon. Mute your cameras, mute your mics. I don't know if you should mute your camera, but turn it off. All right, Saints, let's start heading back to our screens and computers and phones and tablets and wherever else you located yourself. Thank Elder Boone for ending a little early, gave everybody a 5-minute water break. We're going to launch right into our commencement ceremony in T-minus 2 minutes. 2 minutes, folks. And we're back, Saints. It is now my pleasure to turn this portion of our program over to St. Allison Gordon, who is going to be leading us through the commencement of 2020.
Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to welcome you to this 2020 virtual commencement. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay. The grads this year, unfortunately, did not get to experience the normal activities that come with graduating. We wanted to make sure that we were able to highlight them and their accomplishments. Without further ado, I want to introduce Dr. Adrian Reynolds, who will say a prayer for the graduates.
Church of God and Saints of Christ, it's indeed a pleasure to be here among the people of God, and I take pleasure in this opportunity to begin with prayer. Dear most righteous and heavenly Father, creator of the universe and ruler of heaven and earth, we come humbly before you we come humbly before your throne of grace. We come before you first to thank you for all that you have done for us, for the battles that you have fought, and all the victories that we have won through your divine and matchless power. As these, your saints, move to the next level of academic excellence, we are asking this afternoon, right here, right now, Lord, we are humbly asking and beseeching you, Jesus, to keep them as the apple of your eye. We are asking, Lord, that you build a hedge of protection around them, that you be their rock, that you be their shield, that you'll be their fortress. Lord, we pray that your covering of Psalm 91 will be all over our saints as they move into this next level. We ask that you will clear the path for them. We ask that the goals that they have set will be located and predicated upon your word. We ask that you clear a path for them so that they can walk in your love, so that they can walk in your word, so that they can walk in your light as they move away, some to go to various colleges, as they might not be close to the physical temple, but we are asking, God, that you keep their hearts grounded in your word, knowing that we and our bodies are the temple of the living God. And so wherever they go, Jesus, we ask that you just be a little sanctuary to them, and they'll stay connected to the true vine of God, because we know that you are the door of the sheep. And if they stay in the way, then for sure we know that they'll be able to walk through the door and walk in your light. We're asking you, God, to keep them connected to your church, keep them connected to your son, Jesus Christ, because they can do all things only through Christ who strengthens them. Oh Lord, I know that the way of man is not in himself. It is not man that walketh to direct his steps. Oh Lord, correct me, correct them, Lord. Lord, help them to not stay away from the rod of correction. Help them to be transparent. Help them to be honest, and help them to exercise good judgment. Man's goings are not of the Lord. How can a man then understand his own way if our ways are not his ways and his ways are not our ways? And so we say, Lord, this afternoon we form one bond and one body with one goal under one leader and one destiny. We say, Lord, order these students, your saints, as they move to the next level of academic excellence. We say, Order their steps in your word, and let not any iniquity have dominion over them. Let not drugs have dominion over them. Let not immorality have dominion over them. Let not pornography have dominion over them. Let not evil speaking have dominion over them. But Lord, cover them with your love. Cover them with your grace. Cover them with your kindness. Show me thy ways, O Lord, and teach me thy paths. Lead them in your truth, Lord, and teach them, for you are the God of their salvation, and in thee do we wait all the day long. David says, I will instruct thee and teach thee in the way which thou shalt go. There is only one Lord. There is only one faith. There is only one way. There is only one baptism. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, young folks, and lean not to your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your path. And we close with St. Matthew 6:9-14. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth, as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. Thank you.
Wow, I'd like to thank Dr. Adrian Reynolds for that powerful prayer for the grads. It was wonderful. Next, I want to introduce the keynote speaker for today, who is Brother Adrian Moncour, Esquire. Adrian Moncour was born and raised in Newark, New Jersey. In 1987, he officially joined the Church of God and Saints of Christ on Central Avenue in Newark and was baptized by Evangelist at Large Isaac W. Artis. Currently, he is the Father Abraham of that tabernacle. Adrian Moncour earned his BA degree in political science from Rutgers University, New Brunswick in 2001, and his Juris Doctor from Rutgers School of Law, Newark in 2007. In December of 2007, Mr. Moncour joined the New Jersey Office of the Public Defender, Essex County Region, as a staff attorney. His extensive trial experience includes, but is not limited to, homicides, robberies, sexual assaults, and child abuse cases. He is currently one of 3 attorneys who exclusively represent individuals charged with homicide. Since 2012, Mr. Moncour has served as an adjunct assistant professor of criminal justice at the City University of New York. His course focuses on his major theories in criminal behavior, key legal concepts, the role and legal control of police, and correction. Mr. Moncour is an active brother of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated and currently serves as the Dean of Membership for his local chapter. He also serves on the Leadership Council for the United Negro College Fund, New Jersey chapter. Brother Adrian, over to you.
Thank you, St. Allison. Thank you, St. Allison, for a terrific introduction. And it is a pleasure to be here. First off, let me say all hail to the Bishop Grant, and all the saints and all the ministerial body that is currently here with us on this call. It is truly an honor and a privilege. It is truly an honor and a privilege to be here with you at this time and to be given the opportunity by the committee. And I must say, wow to the committee. What a tremendous, tremendous, tremendous job you guys have been doing this weekend. I mean, from the spirit-filled services to just a productive and very informative Sunday with the panels. I mean, it's just been really unbelievable. And I'm thankful for the opportunity to be a part of this. You know, this is a very special class, the class of 2020. You guys have accomplished a lot during a very, very difficult time period. You know, coronavirus, COVID-19 did not hold you guys back. It did not stop you guys from accomplishing those things that you set out to accomplish as far as education. And to that, we shall say, to God be the glory. Because it doesn't matter It does not matter if you just graduated kindergarten. To God be the glory. It doesn't matter if you just graduated 8th grade. To God be the glory. It doesn't matter if you just graduated high school. To God be the glory. You know, if you just graduated college, you got your degree. Glory to God at this point. This is a very difficult time period. We have never seen a time period like this before in our life, in our generation. And for you guys to be here and, you know, achieving those educational goals, I must say, you know, congratulations. To God be the glory, because it is only God that can make it possible. And I am a big fan, a huge fan, I should say, of your generation, Generation X. You guys have the passion and the drive. You guys know that you guys are changing the world. You guys are changing the world right now. And you guys should know, if you keep God first, nothing can stop you. And I'm going to just be there with you very short. And I'm going to leave with you 3 points, but these 3 points are going to come from our scripture in St. Luke 1:37. And it's a short scripture. And we all should know St. Luke 1:37, which says, "For with God, nothing shall be impossible." For with God, nothing shall be impossible. Say it again. For with God, nothing shall be impossible. 3 points. I'm going to lay them out for you really quickly. First point, overcoming obstacles and adversity. Second point is finding God's purpose for you. God has a vision and a purpose for you. And the third point is letting your light shine. Letting your light shine. You know, as a student, you could have been set back by what has transpired over the last 3 or 4 months with this pandemic, with this virus that seems to be out of control. But you weren't. You overcame the obstacle. You could be set back by the racism as African Americans that we face on a day-to-day basis, by the police brutality, by the institutional racism, by racism in our schools. You could have been set back, but you weren't. You could be set back because you might be treated differently because of your gender, but you weren't set back. And you have to remember that you can never be set back. You can never be set back by obstacle or adversity in this life, because it will come. Keep the scripture, St. Luke 1:37 in your mind. My mom recites it literally every Sabbath, I think. For with God, nothing shall be impossible. And it's true. It's true. You have to believe that. You have to believe that, because one thing is for certain, you will face trials and tribulations. You will face trials and tribulations. You will face trials and tribulations so that you can overcome. You will face trials and tribulations so that you will overcome. And in that, that's where you will find God's purpose for you. You have to include God in your plan. Right now, you may not know, as a student, wherever you are in your education, as a student, you may not know what God's plan for you might be. And that's okay. But you must find it, and you will find it. The scripture in Jeremiah 11:5, before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee, and before thou camest out of the womb, I sanctified thee, and I ordained thee a prophet. God already knows what his purpose for you is. God already knows what his purpose for you is. I had no idea when I went to law school that I would be a criminal defense attorney. I had no idea at all that that would be the path for me. I went to law school with the mindset to make money. I went to law school with the mindset that I'm going to become rich and be able to drive a nice car and buy a nice house and do all of these different things. The last thing on my mind was going to be representing poor individuals in inner cities. That was the last thing that was on my mind. But I tell you again, God has a plan and a purpose for you. And you know what? I had that opportunity. I had that opportunity to go to a firm. I had that opportunity to go to a firm, but God had a different plan. He put me in the public defender's office. And when I tell you, he put me there, and he put me there for a reason. There is nothing anyone could ever tell me that my purpose is right there where I am, representing individuals that are forgotten about, that people don't care about, that the system doesn't care about, that nobody really thinks about at all. God loves those people. And God wanted people who were going to be passionate to go in and help them. And when I first started, I didn't know the first thing about going into a courtroom and conducting the trial, but it was almost as if things became very naturally for me. And it was at that moment, very early on in my career, that I knew that it was the teachings. It was the teachings of the Church of God and saints of Christ that allowed me to stand up, speak clearly, be confident, fight for those that cannot fight for themselves, and show love and compassion for our fellow brothers and sisters. It ain't about our plan all the time. Sometimes it's about God's plan, and you have to put God first. God already knows what his plan is for you. The question is, will you follow God's plan? Will you listen to God's plan? And will you execute God's plan? Because there is a purpose for you in this life. So as you go on into whether you're going into high school, whether you're going to college, whether you're going into elementary school, just understand that God has a purpose for you. God has a purpose for you. The third point that I want is very important for you guys to know. Let your light shine. Let your light shine like you have been letting your light shine this entire weekend. Let your light shine. Continue as young people, continue to honor your father and your mother. It's a commandment for a reason. Continue to honor your father and your mother, because that is the foundation for which you learn how to give back. You learn how to give back to your church. You learn how to give back to your community. You learn how to pay it back to your family. It starts with honoring your parents. That's where your light will begin to shine. That's where you will begin to flourish in this very difficult world. But you know, with God, if he's keeping you, you're going to be kept. If God is in your life and he's keeping you, you're going to be kept, and your light will be shining. It is our responsibility to be an example in this world. It is our responsibilities as Christians, and I firmly believe this, to be an example in this world. Giving back to our community means feeding the homeless. Giving back to our community means visiting the sick. Giving back to our community means providing clothes for people that do not have clothes. Counseling those that suffer from mental illness. Counseling those that suffer from drug addiction. That's what giving back, that's what letting your light so shine means. You don't just take your degree, you don't take your diploma and get out of town. You pay it back. You pay it back. We have to pay it back in our church. And that's what you young people have been doing this entire weekend. And I must say that I am truly overwhelmed with excitement as to the direction of the Church of God and Saints of Christ. Because you young people have shown a fire and a spark that, you know, I must say I have never seen it before. But that's why I'm a fan of this generation. I am a big fan. And I am ready to be led. I am ready to be supportive of everything that you guys have got going on. You guys are doing it, and you got to continue to do it. You got to continue to do it. This is just the beginning. Education, that piece of paper, walking across the stage, it's a beautiful ceremony, but that's exactly what it is. It's a ceremony. Your education is here and it's in here. It's in your heart and then in your mind. And you must use it to the glory of God and help each other, build each other up. One of the things that we have learned in this day and age through this coronavirus, through the George Floyd incident, through all the police brutality, is that we, as African Americans, are all we have. We in the Church of God and Saints of Christ, as saints, as believers, as people of faith, we're all we have. We cannot no longer tear each other down. We can no longer tear each other down. We have to only build. It has to be about building. If it's not about building, it can't be about anything. Progression and building. The elders spoke upon organizational development. It was a beautiful presentation. We have to build. We have to let our lights shine. Find your purpose. Overcome your obstacles and put God first. Saints, thank you for this opportunity and peace be unto you.
Wow. I want to thank Brother Adrian for that wonderful speech. Let's all give him a virtual hand clap. That was truly amazing and inspiring. At this time, we want to highlight the grads. So grads, if you want to be seen, please turn on your videos. St. Natasha Allen and Brother Fitzroy Marsh will be introducing the grads. It's your time to shine. So everyone, I want you to also participate in this. When we introduce the grads, just give a virtual hand clap, use the reactions so they can feel all your love and support.
Are you ready? All right, Saints. Let's give a clap and a virtual hand applause to Gabrielle Patterson. She graduated from pre-K at Goddard School and will be attending kindergarten at the Center Elementary School. Her future career path is a pediatrician. We need more pediatricians. Our next graduate is Junior. JP, Joshua graduated from pre-K at tutor time. He will be attending kindergarten at future career, a shepherd boy, and a superhero.
Yeah, say hi.
Say, wait.
You can be my superhero. Next, have
Bye.
Shelton. All right. Let's give Aria Shelton a round of applause. She has graduated from pre-K at La Petite, sounds French, La Petite Academy. She will be attending kindergarten at Uplift Academy, and her future career is a dance teacher. Teach me.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, Aria Shelton. All right, next up, we have Malachi Christian. He has graduated from K1 at Lee Academy Pilot School. And he will be attending Lee Academy Pilot School, I suppose, for K2, because it says K1. The awards he received is Student of the Week Award, all right? Perfect attendance and honor roll all year. Good job. Future career, a doctor, police officer, and a chef. I love to eat. We need more chefs, yes. All right. kindergarten at Franklin Elementary School. And he will be attending first grade at Franklin Elementary School. His future career is a toy builder. Come on, you can make some money with that. Yes. Congratulations, Charles. Next, we have Madison Ingram. Oh my gosh, Madison. Good job. You graduated from 5th grade. Madison will be attending middle school in her hometown, and her future career is a school counselor. Good job, Madison. Great job, Madison. We need more school counselors. Next up, we have Marissa Miller. She has graduated from 5th grade at Fairlawn Public School, and she will be attending Mountain Ash Public Middle School. Her future careers are an educator. Yes, I'm an educator, a humanitarian, an entrepreneur. We need more of those, and a singer. Ah, beautiful, Marissa. And we have Danae Linton. Danae has graduated also from 5th grade at Daniel Musical Elementary School. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. She will be attending Mega Evans Preparatory, and her future career is a veterinarian. Yes, we need more veterinarians. We need more of everything in the Black community. And my last to say is Kennedy Sage Bradshaw. All right, Kennedy. Kennedy's graduated from 5th grade at Match Community Day School. She'll be attending 6th grade at Match Middle School. The award she's received is the Leadership Award and Student of the Year Award. Good job. We need more leaders. Future career, engineer and an actress. Give it up for Kennedy Sage Bradshaw. All right, Fitzroy, take it over.
All right. Give it up for Amanda Davis, graduating from 6th grade at Carnegie Intermediate School. Will be attending Harry M. Bailey Middle School. Future career, a singer, a dancer, and an actress. Give it up for her. Hello. Yeah, Dea Hendricks, graduated from 8th grade at Wagner Road Junior High, will be attending Reynoldsburg High School, Livingston campus. Future career, computer programmer. Give it up, show some love. Moving along. Blake Murphy, graduated from at Potomac Middle School, will be attending Potomac High School. Future career, cybersecurity. Show some love. Gopher Mills, graduated from 8th grade, and Academy, will be attending Notre Dame High School. Future career, financial advisor. Give it up. Moving along. Janae Ashley Butler, graduated from 8th grade at Engineering Science University Magnet School, will be attending Art and Humanities High School. Future career, a dancer, psychologist, and a gymnast. Give it up. Show some love. Moving along. Aaliyah Anderson, graduated from 12th grade at Everglades High School, will be attending Florida A&M University, major business administration. Future career, marketing executive. Give it up. Show some love. Moving along. Sydney J. Turner, graduated from 12th grade. Fair County Technical High School, will be attending LaSalle University, major business administration.
Hey, woo! Okay.
Keep it moving, keep it moving. Justice Walker, graduated from 12th grade at Franklin Heights High School, will be attending the Ohio State University, major human nutrition, future career, family physician. Show some love. Show some love.
Oh, go Justice.
Desiree Bruce, graduated from 12th grade at Cambridge Region and Latin School, will be attending Bunker Hill Community College, major biology, top honors and principals award. Future career, pediatrician. Give it up, give it up. Show some love. Darren Legister, my godson, graduated from 12th grade at Technical High School, will be attending Gateway Community College, major exercise science. Give it up for my godson. Justin Wendell Grant.
Well, give it up.
Graduated from 12th grade at Reynoldsburg High School, will be attending Columbus State Community College, major criminal justice. Give it up.
Woo!
Imani Sanders, graduated from Westchester Community College, will be attending SUNY University at Albany. Future career, occupational therapist for children with disabilities. Show some love, give it up. To all the graduating class of 2020 from the Church of God and Saints of Christ everywhere, this is the beginning of your journey as young adults enter into different levels of education. To quote the late James Baldwin, remember, those who say it can be done, usually interrupted by those who aren't doing it. Therefore, surround yourself with dreamers and doers, the believers and the thinkers. But most of all, surround yourself with those who see greatness in you, even if you don't see it in you yourself. God bless you.
Before I move on to the next thing, we almost forgot Xavier Lattimore.
Yes, he was the last one added in, but Saints, let's give it up for Saint Xavier Lattimore. He has graduated from pre-K at the Noble School and will be attending kindergarten at Washington School. His future career is a wrestler. Yeah, you're gonna body slam somebody.
Okay, now I'll ask Sean, can you please pull up that last slide? Okay, so as you can see, this is a little something I've created that I'm going to send out to all the grads. As you can see, the diplomas say William S. Crowdy Elementary School, and it has been modified for each grade level. This is not to take away from the school they graduated from, but it's to look forward to the future. Prophet Crowdy told us that we should own our own hospitals, schools, businesses. So for me, this just shows what we can and should have in the near future. Thank you all for helping us celebrate the grads and all of their accomplishments.
Let's give one big round hand clap for our graduates. We thank you so much for allowing us to honor you during this virtual youth convention. You guys have worked so hard, and we just wanted to take a moment to just really pour back into you and tell you how much this church values you. We definitely want to thank our Mr. of Ceremony for that, St. Allison Gordon. Definitely want to thank our acting principals, St. Natasha Allen and Brother Fitzroy. Moving along, March. Definitely want to thank our keynote speaker, Brother Adrian Marcar, all the way out of Newark, New Jersey. What a mighty, powerful keynote commencement speech that he gave. It not only applied to them, y'all, it applied to each and every one of us. Without any further ado, we are coming toward the final stretch of this convention. But first, we have one more raffle to do.
All hail Saints, I'm Alex Wallace. I'm the owner and All hail Saints, I'm Alex Wallace. I'm the owner and CEO of Yad Musca LLC. I hail from Tabernacle Number 1, Charlotte, North Carolina, under the leadership of Elder Kyle Stewart. I am a personal trainer, and I offer my services on a variety of platforms. These services include daily check-ins, workout plans, and macro coaching. I do this because I enjoy helping people reach goals that they can not only be proud of, but also maintain. If you don't follow me on any social media platforms, follow me on Instagram at Yad Muscle, where you can find updates on everything Yad Muscle and also Yad Muscle merch coming soon. Thank you. Big up on yourself.
Thank you, Brother Alex Wallace from Yad Muscle. We're going to go and select our next winner. Drum roll, please. Remember, you have to be on the call when we call your name to win. Deacon Joseph Bennett, are you here? Use your chat feature and let us know that you're here. Give me a H-E-R-E or Hiwi. Only Deacon Joseph Bennett at this moment. You got 5 seconds, sir. Saints getting tired, moving right along, as Brother Fitzroy would say. Just a little petty for today. All right, next. No winner is. Well, that can't work. Alex, you want to work yourself out? Okay, we'll just pick somebody else. Deacon Leroy Pinnock, are you here, sir? Birmingham, give me a here. H-E-R-E, come on. Deacon Pinnock, you've got 7 seconds. Come on. Deacon Pinnock. Only Deacon Pinnock, please. Thank you. You got 3, 2. Saints don't want to work out. All right, moving right along. Saint Zanelli Mokatula, all the way from South Africa. Are you here? I hear something. No, that wasn't her.
Come on, Zanelli.
You got 3 seconds.
Come on, Nelly.
Chief Shepherd Boy's in shape. Come on, let's get it.
Yeah, we.
Moving right along. Thank you.
Been here.
Saint Sharonda Turner.
Which one?
Oh, wait, no. She was here. I apologize. I didn't see it. Saint Sharonda, you didn't win. I apologize. Don't be mad at me. Saint Zanelli was a little late, but they're here. It's like 9 o'clock at night in South Africa. So we appreciate them being on the call. And we will make sure that, Brother Alex, you're going to have to work through that time difference. Be a professional. You know how to do it. You train me. So I'm your most difficult client. So I know you can handle them. All right, without any further ado, I want to present to you for the last time during this hashtag VYC 2020 convention, the convention committee. In this order, they will come and address you for the final time. Deacon Michael Isaiah Harris, Brother Mark Harris, St. Allison Gordon, Brother Greg Stewart, and Brother Ryan Hay. In that order, the convention committee. Deacon Harris, you have 7 seconds.
I'm here.
Oh, okay.
All hail everyone. Happy Sunday. I'm not going to say a lot. I think I spoke enough yesterday for an entire week myself. But I'm grateful for the bishop allowing us to have this convention this weekend, grateful for the committee that I've had the pleasure of working with, and I'm grateful for the participants in the Sabbath program, as well as the participants in the panel that I led yesterday. I'm grateful just for everything and for how beautiful the weekend has been. My heart is truly full. I'm happy to know that all of our hard work has paid off. And I, for one, am looking forward to the future of what this convention has been a springboard for. Looking forward to see what else we can do, because this just shows me that the possibilities are endless. So lastly, I want to say thanks again to the bishop and the leadership of the church for allowing us to do this. And I love you all to life.
All hail saints. Echoing the sentiments of Deacon Harris, firstly want to thank the bishop as well for allowing us to have this convention, to put on this program this weekend. Thank you to my fellow committee members. Thank you to the panelists who participated in the panels that I led. Even I, learned a lot, gained a lot of information. Can't wait to go back and rewatch some of the panels, look at some of the resources that will be available, and just feeling inspired and motivated as well. And just looking at all of the talent that we have right here in the church. We did this all, with our own resources, with our own people, with our own expertise. So looking to build on it, to pour into each other more, and just to get to know each other better. I definitely, like Dr. Kimmy said, feel like I know people, a little better, more intimately, and know what you do every day, and know your expertise, know what your interests are. So, and we highlighted some of the business owners. And like I said, if you didn't get to participate in the panel, if you didn't get your business looked at this week, please don't take it as a slight. This is only the beginning. Want to keep this going, want to keep celebrating each other and building each other up, and letting our work to also go into building up the church, and let it all go to the glory of God. So God bless you all. Truly have enjoyed myself this weekend.
Hello, everyone. I'm not much of a speaker, so I won't have much to say, but I just want to thank everyone for all of their love and support that you have shown the committee and just the events that have gone on this weekend. It was a lot of long meetings to put this together, but I just love seeing the fruits of all our labor just executed so well this weekend. I can't wait to see what's next for the church. I'm just excited and fired up to keep this moving. Thank you.
All hail saints. First, I just want to say, look what God has done. Yeah, I'll say that one more time. Look what God has done. Yes, I just want to thank the bishop, the chief executive officer, for just allowing this committee to put this together and come through with this beautiful, momentous, life-changing, uplifting, encouraging weekend. I would like to also thank the Grandfather Abraham and Grand Rachel. I would like to give credit to them, because they are I was told that they are the originators of this youth convention back in the early 70s. So I would like to thank them as well. Like to thank, wait, hold on. I didn't get a lot of chance to speak this weekend, so I got a couple of things written down. I'm kidding. I'd like to thank the Minister of Music, Evangelist Jesse K. Hendricks, and the Chief Chorister, St. Gertrude Thomas, for allowing us from the music department to use the choirs, or some of the choirs around the kingdom. I want to also thank the choirs that were used on the beginner Sabbath and Sabbath service. The Columbus Choir, under the direction of the talented and meek, my friend, my brother, Tabernacle Chorister, Brother Jesse K. Hendricks Jr. I'd like to thank his pastor as well, Minister of Music, Evangelist Jesse K. Hendricks Sr. The apple does not fall far from the tree. I'd like to thank the Stratford Tabernacle, under the direction of St. Samantha Neal, When I reached out to St. Samantha, she said, I'm finishing up for my master's, but I'll do what I can and get it done, and they did. I thank them so much. I thank their pastor, Evangelist Vanley Allen, and their tabernacle chorister, St. Pamela Bloomfield, for allowing us to borrow a portion of their choir. The North Tabernacle, under the direction of Brother Leonard Davis. Now, if you don't know about Brother Leonard, the first time I met with him was in 2007. And in 2014, he was sitting with the choristers. And I don't know if y'all really understand, our songs we got a lot of songs in the church. And to be a chorister, you have to really pack in the knowledge and pack in these song selections. Brother Leonard is an example of that. He is able to facilitate in the services, and I bless God for him. There's another good brother in the church. I'd like to thank his pastor, the chairman of the board, Evangelist at Large, Isaac W. Artis Jr., and their tabernacle chorister, St. Rovina Cole, for allowing us to use a portion of their choir. The Toronto Tabernacle, I'm sorry, I don't want to take up too much time, but I have to go in depth and thank these choirs because this is a lot of work put in. The Toronto Tabernacle, under the direction of the talented and fiery, the Padre, we like to call him, Father Abraham, Brother Ludlow, and Father Abraham and chorister, Brother Ludlow Buckley, and his pastor, Elder Dexter Miller, and their tabernacle chorister, St. Lynn Buckley, for allowing us to use a portion of their choir. The Atlanta Tabernacle, under the direction of who I like to call the hype one, but he does have some range. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but when he starts marching, you feel thunder shaking the place. Tabernacle chorister, St. Mark Joppy. And we like to thank his pastor, Elder Rhodey Joppy, for allowing us to use a portion of their choir. The Heightsville Tabernacle, under the direction of the talented, the inspiring interim chorister, St. Dominique Wade. We like to thank their pastor, Rabbi Evangelist Samuel C. Wade, and also their tabernacle chorister, St. Esther Thomas, for allowing us to use a portion of their choir. The Grapevine Tabernacle, under the direction of the chairman of the Virtual Youth Convention. I can't say enough about this brother. If I say too much, I'm gonna get emotional, so I'm gonna make it quick. But this brother loves the church and he works. I'll say that again. This brother loves the church and he works. Brother Sean Shelton. And we got tabernacle chorister, Brother Sean Shelton, excuse me. And we also like to thank his pastor, Elder Larry Shelton, for allowing us to use a portion of their choir. We like to go across the waters to the Davidson Tabernacle, under the direction of the fiery. See, I've been to South Africa and I've seen this brother work. The fiery, the inspiring. When I see him, I get inspired because he just reminds me of all the great choristers that we've seen over here in America and just through the history. Brother, the tabernacle chorister there, Brother Kolani Maseko. I hope I said that correctly.
Amen.
And his pastor, I might mess up this last name, so I'll just say Elder N. Let me do that and just say Elder N. Is that all right? Thank you for allowing us to use your portion of your choir. Now we go across the water some more to the Montego Bay Tabernacle, under the direction of her given name is Saint Chantal, but we all call her Gina. Tabernacle chorister Saint Chantal Simpson, a very talented chorister in her own right. And we thank her pastor, Elder Elliott, for allowing us to use a portion of their choir. And we're going on to the headquarters in the same country, headquarters of the Jamaican or Caribbean Diocese, Morat Bay, Jamaica, 44 Church Street to be exact. Under the direction, of course, the St. Roshan Marks, another talented brother in the kingdom. And I must give mention to the district chorister, St. Nikki, we call her Nikki Eunuch, and their tabernacle chorister, St. Sedaine Ferguson. And we like to acknowledge the bishop, their pastor, the executive officer, Bishop Albert E. Hall. Last but not least, and I don't want to get emotional.
Come on.
But I must thank the Hollywood Tabernacle. They know what they mean to me, and I thank them so much. Yes, under the direction of yours truly. I don't want to say my name. Y'all know who I am. I don't want to talk no more either. But I want to thank our pastor, Elder David Anderson, David Claudius Anderson. I hope he doesn't mind me saying his full name, for allowing us to use a portion of our singers for this event. Last but not least, I just want to let the saints know that, or the singers know that we thank all of you that sang and sang your hearts out and took time out to go to different locations, your tabernacles, wherever you were. Thank you so much. I want to let the saints know. I hope the saints were uplifted, encouraged by the way we laid out the song selections for you in these services. It really was a team effort. It was a thought out process. I pray that we all were blessed. I was blessed. I want to also shout out my friend, my brother, my cousin, the district shepherd. Another person, if I start talking, I'm gonna get emotional, but that brother, I don't know what's going on in his brain, but I don't know. But he's just gifted with space. Also want to let the saints know there will be a song credit list with the recordings of these services. You will find the composers of the songs rendered, the arrangers of the songs rendered, and the tabernacle which performed these songs. Church, I thank you. God bless you. This has been a blessing to work with the committee. I love the committee. I love you all. God bless. Peace be.
Go choir.
Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, man, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I messed up. Beginning of Saturday, I'm messing up again. Well, Sean, why did you do that? Greg should have went last. He got the orders all messed up. To the church, God says Christ, I want to thank God for this convention. It's been amazing. I want to thank the bishop for allowing this to go forward. Thank the committee chairman, Brother Sean. I too had a bunch of notes, but every time I wrote something down, I remembered something else, and I remembered something, and I said I'll never be able to give thanks. I don't have enough tongues to express what it meant, but I will say, working with this committee, what I noticed, the amazing part of it is there were no big I's and little U's. See, I don't know anything about music. Everyone who knows me know I cannot sing, for the record. I cannot. But I was being asked a ton of questions about the song, what goes here, what goes there, how is the graduation gonna go, what's the order of service, how can we make this work? And I realized that everybody was just trying to find the best possible answer and not try to wear their hat too big and running their own thing. So that's one thing I took from that, and I'm gonna take that going forward in any department, anything I do in life, that I can always take the hat off and just listen to people who have no experience with what I am experienced with. So I want to thank everyone again. I want to thank everyone who helped me in the media and design department. I don't want to get emotional too, so before that happens, I'm gonna get off because I know this is being recorded. And thank you all.
I'd like to thank my committee one last time for their wonderful remarks. Before we end the convention, before I say my final words, I would like to present to the entire committee, all the registrants, a full financial summary of the 2020 Virtual Youth Convention. Our income statements are as follows. Through the systems of Cash App and PayPal, for Cash App, we had 108 registrants, collecting $1,232.52. A special donation was made at the setting of the sun of the Sabbath on yesterday for $50. Thus, we collected $1,282.52. PayPal, we had 110 registrants. $1,155.45 was collected for a total of $2,437.92. our expenses are as follows. We are paying a tithe to the general storehouse of $243.79. The Zoom large meeting upgrade was at the expense of $100. We had initially budgeted for the 500 participant range. When it came down to service yesterday, we broke that barrier and had to upgrade it. We wanted all saints from all around the world to be able to enjoy in this service, and I'm so thankful that they were able to. So the next item for expense was the website that you all went to receive your information, to register, for the grads to submit their information. We stood that up in a matter of 48 hours. All 6 of those pages, the summary pages, the membership pages, the graduate pages, that was all done around the clock, making sure that the people of God could have a central location to get all the information and updates for the convention. In order to take those payments that we did online, especially from our brothers and sisters that are not in the United States, we had to create that PayPal system so that they would be able to take part in the convention. And that was the $103 charge. The raffles that we so lovely were able to do today, we had 5 of them, of which we raffled off $25 worth of a product or service that they are giving us, giving to the raffle winners. So that costs us $125. Our Master of Ceremonies will be receiving $50 a piece in the persons of Brother Jesse and St. Justice. Our panelists will all be receiving an honorarium of $63.23. This is, of course, a percentage of the proceeds, that as follows. Our speakers, Deacon Stevens and Deacon Harris, will both as well receive the speaking honorariums of $63.23 a piece. Our convention committee honorariums will be as follows. Deacon Harris, Brother Mark, St. Allison, Brother Ryan, and Brother Greg will all receive $75 a piece. Our total expenditures were $37.92. Our full summary, our income and expenses were the same. All the registration that you paid went back out into the church. We paid our tithes and we paid our saints. We want to foster the understanding that the saints need to be able to market and be paid or at least be honored monetarily for their time and their service. Now, I want to make something very clear, and they don't know that I'm doing this, but I just want to go ahead and set the record straight. I am not taking a cent from this convention. I'll repeat it. I'm not taking a cent from this convention, from the registrations that you all paid. The reason being is this was a dream of mine. Bishop allowed for it to happen. We thank him for that. I ask all of these committee members to follow and to cultivate that dream. Thus, we ask the panelists to provide their expertise in order to make this convention something that was worthwhile. So therefore, we pay them and we honor them for their time and effort. It's not enough. We understand that. We only charge $10. But I'm inclined to think that if we went anywhere else, that a convention that was packed with as much information as this one was would cost you 20 to 30 times more. But for the saints of Christ, it was necessary to get together, and it was necessary to provide these bits of information. Saints, I'm being real light-skinned here. I'm crying and stuff. All right.
Go ahead, man. Take your time, man.
The last 3 days of fellowship have been incredible. From start to finish, we have thoroughly enjoyed not only ourselves, but one another. We got to see brothers and sisters from all over the world. During the height of the Sabbath, we had over 500 households connected to the Zoom sanctuary. As I cycled through those video feeds, I could see that some homes had 2 to 6 people in them. By my approximate calculation, we had anywhere between 1,000 to 1,200 saints in one virtual place. Jeremiah said, And I will gather the remnant of my flock out of all the countries whither I have driven them, and I will bring them again into their folds, and they shall be fruitful and increase. We thank the Lord that he saw fit to gather us all together that we might praise his holy name. I want to take that time, and I know they've already been thanked, but I want to thank them personally. I want to thank all the participants that filled this virtual youth convention with talent, expertise, and for the lack of a better eloquent term, they put the swag on this convention. From each person that gave in a testimony proclaiming God's grace, to the leaders of the devotional service that led by example and showing their own personal and sharing their own personal walks with Christ, to those that expounded on the word of God during our scripture lessons, and to those master of ceremonies. I want to say that they were almost doctors of ceremony. They graduated, Brother Jesse and St. Justice, who all the way from Columbus, Ohio, the home of the thin crust pizza champion of the world, Donato's, led us through each portion of the service as they had been trained to do so for about 30 years. What can be said about our spiritually saturated speakers? Deacon Stevens told us to trust the process. Deacon Harris furthered that statement and that sentiment by explaining that Jesus says it's okay to weep. As a matter of fact, I'm going to weep with you, but then you must walk. I thank each choir that was able to submit a selection, the ones that furnished the spiritual atmosphere necessary for chain breaking. I saw the joy that was shared on the reactions of people's faces when they smiled, or they had an extra pep in their step of their march, or an extra hallelujah slipped from their lips. We had Davidson, South Africa, Atlanta, Columbus, Newark Central Avenue, Stratford, Toronto, Mozambique, Zimbabwe. You know, I'm gonna take a quick second. Those saints from Africa they really sacrificed this weekend. There's a 7-hour time difference. So when we were in that evening service and Elder Mokatula was slapping us with the truth of the gospel, that was like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. But they stayed up to be fellowshipping one with another. And so we thank you for that. Hyattsville, that special talent known as Brother Isaiah Thomas, who recorded and mixed all the voices for our afternoon service selection of I Love That Church of God and the ending of the service, Amen. The Moreton Bay Tabernacle, the Montego Bay Tabernacle of Jamaica, the Grapevine Tabernacle, and last, but certainly not least, the Hollywood Tabernacle. Thank you for your sacrifice of time, efforts, and talent that has blessed so many lives in just 3 short days. There's no sum of words that can be strung together that truly express my gratitude for my phenomenal convention committee. Deacon Harris, St. Allison, Brother Mark, Brother Greg, Brother Ryan, you all worked so hard to glorify God and uplift his children. The commencement and the healthcare panels, beautifully cultivated, St. Allison. Every ad and advertisement was spot on, district. I give a 5-star rating to the social and business panels, Brother Mark. Every song that was heard was on time and exceptionally orchestrated by Brother Greg. Deacon Harris, you exhibited an expert level of craftsmanship when addressing the issues of today's society with biblical remedies. Those long nights, those regularly scheduled meetings, and the emergency conference calls, the 2, the 3, the 4, and the 5 a.m. messages from me, the hard work, the dedication, the love, the bond, the jokes, the laughter. These are all the things that have made this convention extra special, and I thank, appreciate, and love all of you. I want to thank my home tabernacle of Grapevine, Texas. When I announced to them that Bishop had approved this convention, they rallied behind me and pushed me forward. My pastor, my dad, Elder Shelton, I thank you for giving me a solid foundation and being a consistent supporter. If y'all wondering why I'm crying, it's because of him. He cried too. This is why this is happening right now. Sister Elder Shelton, Mom, thank you for helping me level set and stabilize when things got rocky. To my deacon, my younger yet wise brother, thank you for reminding me to be humble by your calm and excellent example. My sister, Stephanie, I'd shoot a bear with rabies for you, girl. You're so caring, you're kind, and you're the best TT my girls can have. You're the best TT that Cheetos can buy, because that's how you end up bribing them. I know it. You took care of my girls this weekend in order for me to be able to focus on presenting the hashtag VYC 2020 experience to the Saints. My lovely daughters, Aria and Zora, thank you for loving your dad in those tough moments when the pressure was ratcheted up in the days leading up to this convention. Zora would sense that I was stressed out and would plant a slobbery kiss right on my face. Aria, she would break into song and dance, reminding me to shake it off, shake it off. They would say, they say, you leave the best for last, and so I have. My lovely wife, Jessica, you're my equilibrium, my balance, my symmetry. Without you, there is no me. St. Jessica was responsible for extracting all of your data that was put into your contact information when you registered, and when she created the database in which we were able to create those registration packages, all those email blasts and all those flyers and different things that went out, it was because she put all that together. Unfortunately, those systems don't build reports for you, but she did them when the system wouldn't. So when my brain ran out of computing power, you stepped in and was more than my backup. You became my mainframe. Saints, this is a bittersweet moment for me. We've come to the end of the virtual youth convention. We have relished in the Spirit of God as he moves from household to household. We started this convention under the theme of bridging the distance. I am happy to say we did just that. For the first time in history of this great church, the saints of Christ from across the globe, all around the world, showed up in full force, all for the sake of uplifting the name of the Lord and showcasing the talents of this generation. We allowed the Lord to use us for his glory. He made his face to shine upon us and gave us peace in the moments of uncertainty. This is important to remember because in the upcoming days, Satan's going to be testing us. Matter of fact, I'm going to let y'all in on something. I didn't say anything to anybody. There's about 2 people that know about it. From the moment that I opened this convention, Satan has been attacking my home, literally. From my opening words, my air conditioning went out. If you ever visit us here in Texas, you already know what these 98-degree days are like.
Oh my
It
Lord.
has been 90 degrees in my home since Friday night at 7 o'clock. But I would not let the devil have any victory over the work and the promise that God gave us in completing this convention. He sends distractions and attacks our way simply because we wanted to draw closer to God. He will make us think that we have strayed so far away from him that his will is nowhere near us. He'll try to force us down paths that lead to disaster. The enemy will seek to devour your every ambition, every plan, every goal, every desire, every motivation, every aspiration, if you let him. But Genesis 33:12 tells us, and he said, let us take our journey and let us go, and I will go before thee. The Lord is with us, saints. He is a lamp unto our feet and a light unto our path. This weekend has bridged the distance. We created means and resources for you to take home. Well, to take to the other rooms in your home and grow closer to God and your fellow man. We have lit up the bridge that will take you to your next spiritual destination. It is time now to journey onward and cross that bridge. Don't get stuck in the stench of regret. Don't try and circumvent the process by taking shortcuts. Take each progressive step with God-based confidence. Evangelist Stife coined the phrase Godfidence. Let not your heart be troubled, but believe in God. Do not leave this convention and return back to your regularly scheduled sin sessions. Make your requests known unto God through prayer and supplication, and know that he is able to give you the desires of your heart. To my fellow youth, especially those in my generation, we are no longer the future church. We are the church. Act like it. Take responsibility for making this organization all that it can be. It will take work. It'll take perseverance. It'll take persistence. But I tell you what, it is all worth it. Those of us that have children, we owe it to our children to work and perfect this way of life that we cherish so dear. If we spent half as much time gossiping about what leadership or what the old folks aren't doing and started putting effort into presenting solutions and plans, we would be in a much better place. Notice I didn't say thoughts and gripes. I said solutions and plans. Your moans and groans will not accomplish very much, but your time, your effort, and the use of your abilities will. To our seasoned saints, our pillars of the palace, our experienced experts. Yes, I worked on all of those, and so I didn't call you that OLD word. No, I'm not going to say what you think I'm going to say. What you think I'm going to say is, get out the way, let us take over. No, we need you. You have been there and done that. We need to be able to draw on those experiences. But what I am asking you is this: work with us. These young people are hungry to move the church. We want to be key assets of this organization. Let us embrace one another's skills and talents. Empower this generation of youth by investing in them. If nothing else, VYC 2020 has proven that the youth is capable and willing if given the opportunity. Saints, and this is it. I'm not a preacher, so that's the truth. You don't build a bridge to admire it. You build a bridge to get to your destination. I leave you with two words: journey onward. At this time, it is my esteemed pleasure to present to you the leader of Israel, the senior bishop of the Church of God and Saints of Christ everywhere, CEO, Bishop Robert Dennis Grant Sr. Hear ye him.
Amen.
All hail saints, to the convention chairperson, to the convention committee, to all of my fellow ministers and yokemen in the gospel of Jesus Christ, to all of the convention delegates, I say all hail. I'm so very glad to see each and every one of you. I have not missed 1 minute of this historic convention. It's the 2020 Virtual Youth Convention. It's historic in nature. It's not the first youth convention ever, but it's the first virtual youth convention that we've been able to have. And because of this pandemic, this coronavirus that's gripped the entire world, because of that, we are now able to see and worship with our sisters and brothers all over the world. Isn't that wonderful? Our sisters and brothers in Jamaica, our sisters and brothers in England, our sisters and brothers in South Africa, wherever they may be, God has allowed us to have this convention and to worship and to fellowship one with another. It's been beautiful. This convention has been well organized. I have to say it. It's well organized. And I am truly impressed with the young people and what you have put on in such a relatively short period of time. Of course, if God was not in the plan, it would not have been pulled off as well as it has been.
It's been beautiful. I want to say I'm so glad to see so many of my sisters and brothers that I have not seen in a long time. My colleagues, Bishop Shangazi, Bishop Hall, especially Grandfather Abraham J. Ellis Milliton. So glad to see him. I talked to him a couple of times before this convention, and when I saw him on the beginning of the Sabbath, I almost had to strap myself down in my seat because I was so glad to see him. And he's with us now, and just so glad to see everyone. The youth convention, beautiful, 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 from the opening strands of I Love Thy Church of God until this very moment. It couldn't have been done any better. From the participants, the MCs, the devotional leaders, to our speakers, to the panelists, the moderators. It's just been wonderful. It's been eye-opening. It's been educational. And I really don't have a lot to say except the fact that I want to say to each and every member, doesn't matter how old you are, whatever it is, where you're at, it is essential that you learn your church. Learn the Church of God and Saints of Christ. Know what you're in. You need to know what you're in. Anything you're in, whether it's a fraternal organization, a sorority, or whatever, learn what you're in. Learn what you're in. It helps you going forward to understand what you're in, where you need to go, what has to be done. Life is not easy. Life's not easy. We found that out. If we're going to be followers of Christ, we need to live a life, a Christ-centered life. In doing that, we find out that we're enveloped by man's inhumanity demand, racism, the topics that we've discussed this weekend, wellness and healthcare. Life's not easy, but these are things we have to adapt and cope with. Financial living and how we're going to live, how we're going to survive, going to school, all of that. This is all a part of living. It's called life. And we, if we're rooted and grounded in God, in Christ, and if we have him as our spiritual foundation, there is nothing in this world that we cannot overcome. Nothing in this world. But we must be rooted and grounded in Jesus Christ and in the Church of God and the Saints of Christ. Prophet William Crowdy indeed brought to us the true plan of salvation. I heard somebody say, well, what's the mission of the church? Well, the actual mission of the church is to raise the spiritual level of mankind by bringing souls to Christ through prayer and, yes, even community outreach. We are to empower the body of Jesus Christ through sound and direct biblical teaching and promote prosperity through the use of biblical principles. Well, there's also a financial statement of the church. It's to provide oversight, integrity, and direct management of the financial affairs of the Church of God and Saints of Christ on a national level. I'm impressed with the transparency that the committee chairman showed with the financial disclosure of the committee, right down to the penny. Thank you, Brother Chairman. That was beautiful. All of us saw the transparency. That's all part of what the church is trying to promote, not just among ourselves, but to the outside world. When they look at us and they'll say, oh my God, the Church of God and Saints of Christ, they are true to what they say. But it's not just on a national level. This needs to be done on the local level. Transparency financially needs to be done in every tabernacle. So there is no question, there is no issue of what's going on with the money here and there or whatever. This is all part of the church. We're all part of it. We are all part of this great church. I'm impressed with Brother Adrian Moncourt's graduation speech to the graduates. It wasn't just to the graduates, that was to all of us, but especially to the graduates. He spoke sound doctrine. I don't care what you say. He talked about putting Christ first. Until we put Christ first, God first in our lives, we're going to continue to struggle. President Kennedy, and you know what, the church, before I go to President Kennedy, the church is for everybody. It's not just for the old. It's not just for the middle-aged. It's also not just for the young. It's inclusive of everybody. The church needs to look out for everybody. But let me say this. When President John F. Kennedy was elected president in 1960, and yes, I was alive. I was a little kid, but I was alive. In his acceptance speech on his inauguration day, I know you've heard this time and time again, but I'm going to say it again. Notice he said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. I say the same thing. Ask not what your church can do for you, but what you can do for your church. We all need to band together. We all need to hold each other's hands up. We all need to become one. We all need to become in the same mind and in the same judgment. Once we do that, there will be no huge barriers that we will not be able to overcome. We'll be able to overcome everything that life has to bring up against us. Again, life is not easy, but with God, all things are possible to them that believe. I'm just thrilled. I'm just thrilled for this 2020 virtual youth convention. This is the very first one, the virtual youth convention, and it is indeed historic. I'm glad that I was a part of it. I'm glad that I was able to see and to hear and understand. I thank God for the sending of Prophet William Saunders Crowley. If it had not been for us, none of us would be here today. None of us would know anything about this Zoom service in the Church of God and Saints of Christ. He was indeed a prophet in my time. He is the forerunner of the second coming of Jesus Christ. He came to bring the people of God into one family. Thank you, Lord, for sending Prophet William Saunders Crowley. And on that, I say to that, whatever we think, whatever we're looking to do, trust the process. May God bless you, and may he keep you all, is my fervent prayer.
Thank you, Brother Chair.
Thank you so much, Bishop, for your words. Saints, we have come to the end of our convention. It is now time for us to dismiss. I ask to end us, if I could call on the bishop one last time, if he would dismiss us from this convention and close it out officially.
May we all stay. Jude, verses 24 and 25. Now unto him that is able to keep you from falling, and to present you faultless before the presence of his glory with exceeding joy. To the only wise God, our Savior, be glory and majesty, dominion and power, both now and ever. Amen.
Saints, you are more than welcome to unmute yourselves and enjoy some more time of fellowship, or if you're looking to go.
Well done, well done.
Sean, great job.
Beautiful weekend. Give the glory.
Well, saints, God bless you, everyone. Bless you, you. Beautiful job.
Great job. Well done.
Good job. All hail. God bless you, saints.
God bless you.
Saints and peace. Love you.
Thank you, Saints. Lovely meeting.
Yes, love you guys.
Beautiful.
Ellen, hi, Ellen.
Good to
see you, Helen.
All hail, St. Paul.
All hail, sweetheart. It's so good to see you.
Praise God.
Praise God.
You're looking beautiful, St. Paul.
You too. Good to see you.
Beautiful. Bless you all, Saints. God bless you all. God bless you all.
Yes, Lord. God is awesome.
Yes. Amen.
Praise him.
Hallelujah.
Praise him. Praise him. Hallelujah.
Yes.
That's right. Hallelujah. I thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Hey, I thank you, Lord.
Amen.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Fantastic. Beautiful, beautiful. God is good.
Pam.
Congratulations, Brad.
All hail. Is it well?
It is well. It's well with thee. Good to see you.
It is well. Good to see you.
Yes, ma'am.